Ta-da! Right, so that's done. We have crossed the finish line, folks. And someone out there is potentially saying, I knew it. I knew he was going to do some philosophical video about this. And you're right. Because why not? And it's an answer to a question, because now all that I've got to put all that stuff back, right? And you may think, why would you do all of that, mate? If you're just gonna cover it up, like, what's the point? There's many a time when I have thought that and spoken it out loud, whether it's to someone else or just with my own thinking, voicing my own thinking out loud. Well, what's the point? Defeats the purpose, and that has its merits. However, in this case, the answer to the question, why would you do all of that just to put all of that stuff back and cover it over? It's this. Here's your answer. It's for me to practice the doing of the thinking. What does that mean exactly? Have you ever had the idea, or let's just use me as an example, the amount of times I looked over and I've got to do that, okay, the constant thinking, the monkey chatter as it's referred to. So by giving this a bit of a scrub, putting some type of chemical onto a mold inhibitor, or just to slow down, because that's what most of this is actually all about, is dealing with this water that's just been neglected and been running down the inside of the hole and potentially in between these two. So this is your inner planking, and then there's actually a gap behind that, and then there's the outer planking. There's the inside of the outer planking. Does that make sense? And this is the outside of the internal. If you can see those nails. So there's a beam running that way. Does that make sense? So you've got wood getting nailed on the inside of that, and then wood on there. So, like I said, the answer to the question is, why would you do that? You're going to rip it up anyway. Well, I'm camping here, on and off. So another thing is, it's not fancy, right? It's not the be or end all, yet it's far more pleasant than what it was. Go onto the Facebook there, you'll see on my feed. It's a bit like, there's an example above me. Oh, that's the wheelhouse, and then these are the ceilings I cleaned some time ago. The wheelhouse is not too concerned about that, because that's the wheelhouse, right? I'm not staying here. I sleep in here, right? I don't sleep in the wheelhouse, although that might be an idea. But that's the main purpose of this, is actually the practice. Because the constant thinking, I've begun to pay attention, is that's part of the fatigue. Part of feeling like, well, I just don't have the energy. Because I'm just fully occupying my mind with elaborate ideas that are constantly being overanalyzed and broken down and rebuilt in my mind, that's taxing on my nervous system, believe it or not. Because there'll be days where I'm like, I'm on the ball, and then I think, I didn't need anything much different, right? But sometimes I might not even get the best sleep. And yet, like, I'm on the ball, and I know that there's something very important, and that is going to be coming up. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm not going to do it here on the YouTube. That's something that I will share, and I'll give you an invitation to dive deeper into that. For those of you who, let's say, there'll be a link in the description, ironwakemaritime.com, and it's just a couple of downloads, right? 7 principles of sovereignty, part of the Iron Wake code that I'm gradually putting into play myself. Okay. And so I've decided that some of the information I'll share it's personal, and I could put it on the YouTube and probably get heaps of views, and it could go viral, and I'll get all these subscribers, right? Which is definitely the aim. However, I rather entice you to not necessarily follow what I'm doing, but begin to reap the rewards of putting these practices or these principles into play. And that takes something called initiative, for you to actually take on the initiative to do something beyond just clicking the link, beyond just getting another email and opening, but making a decision to go, right, let's practice doing the idea. Because I have a strong feeling that link in the description, it's not the only link you've clicked, and I'll put my hand up as well. My email is littered with all these hidden treasures, because it's like a moth to a light. I'd rather that not be you. So you might choose today to be the day or the night or whatever it is, this moment in your reality, to go, you know what, let's do that. Let's just put something into play. So not only will you get that, but from here on in, anyone who clicks join the fleet will get this information from me personally. Now, it already exists out there on the YouTube, and you've potentially already come across it. Yet how much effort have you put into that actual practice? Because I know that hands down, it's definitely a very key component to this. Becoming more productive. Beginning to go, hey, there's something I need to do. How do I do it? And sometimes it's like, today it was, well, I have been actually nutting out a fair idea, but then I just like, right, we'll just start here. Well, next. A bit like a race. Boom, the gun goes off. You know the finishing line is over there. You know that's the way you got to go. What happens from the start to the finish line, you don't exactly know. Will I trip over? Will someone else trip over? You know, will I come first, third, fourth, last? Like, I don't know. Like, I have an intention. I have an idea. So the only way I'm going to see where I end up at the finish line is to actually leave the starting line. It seems like practical and common sense shit. It's taken me too many seasons to get here. Good thing is I've got seasons ahead of me, so here we are. So yeah, there you go. Why bother doing something that you probably don't really have to do? Well, in this case, it's one, like, to recap. So like practicing the doing of the idea, of the thinking, I need to clean that. Well, do that, clean it. I need to break down that bed that was here. It's just a freaking eyesore. It's taking up too much space. This is giving me a bit more volume, which is great. It's, yeah, what's going to probably happen though, because I've got to put everything back, is I'll be on the floor until I rebuild it. Another at the end. So there's going to be a lot of things that I'm doing in this boat that are temporary. You think, what's the point, mate? Why don't you do this and do that? You know, everyone's got an idea. And well, where is your idea? Where is the physical practice of your? And that's why I made a decision quite some time and just not to comment on things. Unless I can say, hey, I've spent this doing, but people don't really care if you spent the last 10 years, 20 years trying to figure things out. They just want the answer, right? So I have an answer for any of you lads that are interested on a simple, a little challenging way with a deep dive, and what I've noticed personally on how to not immediately, it's 10 degrees up every day, payoff principle, productivity starts to come back on board. Okay, it's not a fancy supplement. It's none of those type of things, although they do contribute to it. A lot of coffee. Diet, it's got nothing to do with diet, because I've been doing this. I'm not the best eating, better than what it was. There's a couple of components though, and like I said, I'm not just going to do another video that already exists. I like to do something to do a video in regards to giving you the answer based on your action. And all it is click on the link, join the fleet, you get the 2 downloads, download them, follow the prompts, print them out. And I should probably say, you know what I'll do is I'll give you a follow-up email and say, hey, did you print them out? Like, send us a photo. I'm going to be doing things a little different here on Iron Lake Maritime, and actually touching base and doing things a little organic, even though it's through a digital realm. A little old school with the new school. And that's missing. Everyone's hiding behind AI, and they're probably also just skinny little dweebs sitting there peeling their eggplant, if you know what I mean. Yet they're all saying, follow the code of the samurai. And I was a preacher once. And yeah, I lost a lot of good things from just being a preacher and not a practicer. Very important. But it's important to be wise about that which you choose to practice. So on that, be good, be great, be brilliant. Remember, fellas, do what you can with what you have to start leading you to where it is you'd rather be.